Good evening, Hyperspinners. I've got a good one for you tonight. It's going to be showcasing the handheld nested wheel.
Pick handhelds.
Alright guys, here's the handheld.
Find your favorite handheld here.
Let's see what's in it.
Launching. Get ready. Hyper search. Electro games.
Alright. First bit's the Game & Watch.
Game & Watch is a line of handheld electronic games produced by Nintendo from 1980 to 1991. Created by game designer Gunpei Yokoi, each Game & Watch features a single game to be played on an LCD screen in addition to a clock, an alarm, or both. This console inspired Nintendo to make the Game Boy. It was the earliest Nintendo product to gain major success. Nintendo Game Boy.
This is probably my favorite theme of
The Game Boy
whole
is an
handheld
8-bit
wheel.
handheld video game device developed and manufactured by Nintendo. It was released in Japan on April 21, 1989, in North America in August 1989, and in Europe on September 28, 1990. It is the first handheld console in the Game Boy line, and was created by Gunpei Yokoi and Nintendo Research and Development One, the same staff who had designed the Game & Watch series as well as several popular games for the Nintendo Entertainment System. The Game Boy is Nintendo's second handheld system following the Game & Watch series introduced in 1980, and it combined features from both the Nintendo Entertainment System and Game & Watch and its B&W. It was originally bundled with the puzzle game Tetris. Despite many other technologically superior handheld consoles introduced during its lifetime, the Game Boy was a tremendous success. The Game Boy and Game Boy Color combined have sold 118.69 million units worldwide. Upon its release in the United States, it sold its entire shipment of 1 million units within weeks.
All credits go to Jason on the Hyperspin forum, the TKO cinematics. He added some enhancements that really make it pop.
Atari Lynx. The Atari Lynx is a 16-bit handheld game console that was released by Atari Corporation in 1989. The Lynx holds the distinction of being the world's first handheld electronic game with a color LCD, The system is also notable for its forward-looking features, advanced graphics, and ambidextrous layout. The Lynx was released in 1989, the same year as Nintendo's best-selling, monochromatic Game Boy. However, the Lynx failed to achieve the sales numbers required to attract quality third-party developers, and was eventually abandoned. Today, as with many older consoles, there is still a small group of devoted fans, creating and selling games for the system. Sega Game Gear. The Sega Game Gear was Sega's first handheld game console. Based on an 8-bit processor, it was the third commercially available color handheld console, after the Atari Lynx and the Turbo Express. Work began on the console in 1989 under the code name Project Mercury, following Sega's policy at the time of codenaming their systems after planets. The system was released in Japan on October 6, 1990, North America, Europe and Argentina in 1991, and Australia in 1992. The launch price was $150 USD and £145 GBP. Sega dropped support for the Game Gear on April 30, 1997. What are a SUPERVISION? The What are a SUPERVISION is a monochrome handheld game console, originating from Asia, and introduced in 1992 as a cut-price competitor for Nintendo's Game Boy. It came packaged with a game called Crystal Ball, which is similar to Breakout. One unique feature of the SUPERVISION was that it could be linked up to a television via a link cable. Games played in this way would display in 4 colors, much like Nintendo's Super Game Boy add-on for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. A full-color TV link was also in the works, but because of the SUPERVISION's failure to make a major impression among gamers, it was cancelled, along with the games which were in development for it. Though the machine garnered some attention at launch, it was ultimately unsuccessful in unseating the Game Boy from its position as the world's most popular handheld. Reasons commonly cited are the poor quality screen, which was prone to blurring and made following the action difficult, a general lack of games, and the simplistic nature of those that were released. Yet another problem was that most of the games that were available were developed in Taiwan or Hong Kong, meaning that fans of big-name Western and Japanese developers were underwhelmed by the apparent lack of support from these companies. Only a tiny handful of games were developed by third parties, including Saken and the British developer BITS. Up against Nintendo's list of popular franchises, Zelda, Mario, Metroid, and those of its third parties Castlevania, Mega Man, all of which eventually surfaced on the Game Boy, the SUPERVISION's games were of little interest to most.
There's a hard time with that. This is another one. Whatever.
Creatronic Megaduck. The Megaduck W.G108 is a handheld game console that was produced by Hong Kong-based Wellback Holdings through its Timlex International division and came on the market in 1993. Nintendo Super Game Boy. The Super Game Boy is a 16-bit adapter cartridge for Nintendo's Super Nintendo Entertainment System. It was the first Game Boy-based add-on to a Nintendo console. The Super Game Boy allows game cartridges designed for use on the Game Boy to be played on a TV display using the Super NES controllers. Tiger Game.com. The The Gamecom is a handheld game console released by Tiger Electronics in September 1997. It featured many new ideas for handheld consoles and was aimed at an older target audience, having PDA-style features and functions such as a touchscreen and stylus. SNK NEOGEO Pocket. The NEOGEO Pocket is a monochrome handheld video game console released by SNK. It was the company's first handheld system and is part of the NEOGEO family. It debuted in Japan in late 1998, however saw no Western release, being exclusive to Japan and smaller Asian markets such as Hong Kong. The NEOGEO Pocket is considered to be an unsuccessful console. Lower than expected sales resulted in its discontinuation in 1999, and was immediately succeeded by the NEOGEO Pocket Color, a full-color device allowing the system to compete more easily with the dominant Game Boy Color handheld. The majority of the NEOGEO Pocket's library is forwards compatible with that of the NEOGEO Pocket Color, and likewise all NEOGEO Pocket games can be played on the Color system. Though the system enjoyed only a short life, there were some significant games released on the system such as Samurai Showdown, and King of Fighters R1. Only 10 games were released for the system: Melon Chan's Growth Diary, Puzzle Link, Pocket Tennis, Neo Cup 98, Neo Cup 98 Plus, King of Fighters, Samurai Showdown, Master of Suji, Neo Cherry Master and Baseball Stars. Nintendo Game Boy Color. The Game Boy Color is Nintendo's successor to the 8-bit Game Boy handheld game console, and was released on October 21, 1998 in Japan, November 18, 1998 in North America, November 23, 1998 in Europe and November 27, 1998 in the United Kingdom. It features a color screen and is slightly thicker and taller than the Game Boy Pocket. As with the original Game Boy, it has an 8-bit processor. The Game Boy and Game Boy Color combined have sold 118.69 million units worldwide. SNK NEOGEO Pocket Color. The NEOGEO Pocket Color is a 16-bit color handheld video game console manufactured by SNK. It is a successor to SNK's monochrome NEOGEO Pocket handheld, which debuted in 1998 in Japan. The NEOGEO Pocket Color was released on March 16, 1999 in Japan, August 6, 1999 in North America, and sometime in 1999 in Europe. The NEOGEO Pocket Color was SNK's last video game console, and is backwards compatible with the NEOGEO Pocket. In 2000, following SNK's purchase by Japanese pachinko manufacturer Aruz, the NEOGEO Pocket Color was dropped from both the North American and European markets. It did, however, last until 2001 in Japan, with a total of 2 million units sold. Bandai Wonder Swan. The Wonder Swan is a handheld game console released in Japan by Bandai. It was developed by Gunpei Yakoi's company Koto Laboratory and Bandai. Released in 1999 in the 5th generation of video game consoles, the Wonder Swan and its 2 later models, the Wonder Swan Color and Swan Crystal, were officially supported until being discontinued by Bandai in 2003. Powered by a 16-bit central processing unit, the Wonder Swan took advantage of a low price point and long battery life in comparison to its competition, Nintendo's Game Boy Color and SNK's NEOGEO Pocket Color. Bandai Wonder Swan Color. The Wonder Swan Color was released on December 9, 2000 in Japan, and was a moderate success. The original Wonder Swan had only a black and white screen. Although the Wonder Swan Color was slightly larger and heavier compared to the original Wonder Swan, the color version featured 512 KB of RAM and a larger color LCD screen. In addition, the Wonder Swan Color is compatible with the original Wonder Swan library of games. Prior to Wonder Swan's release, Nintendo had a virtual monopoly in the Japanese video game handheld market. After the release of the Wonder Swan Color, Bandai took approximately 8% of the market share in Japan, partly due to its low price of 68 yen 100 Japanese yen. Another reason for the Wonder Swan's success in Japan was the fact that Bandai managed to get a deal with Square to port over the original Famicom Final Fantasy games with improved graphics and controls. However, with the popularity of the Game Boy Advance and the reconciliation between Square and Nintendo, the Wonder Swan Color and its successor, the Swan Crystal, quickly lost its competitive advantage. They were discontinued in 2003. Nintendo Poca Copyright Monday Mini.
Wasn't even close how you said that.
The Pokémon Mini is a handheld game console that was designed and manufactured by Nintendo and themed around the Pokémon media franchise. It is the smallest game system with interchangeable cartridges ever produced by Nintendo, weighing just under 2.5 ounces. Features of the Pokémon Mini include an internal real-time clock, an infrared port used to facilitate multiplayer gaming, a reed switch for detecting shakes, and a motor used to implement force feedback. Nintendo Game Boy Advance. The Game Boy Advance, often shortened to GBA, is a 32-bit handheld video game console developed, manufactured, and marketed by Nintendo. It is the successor to the Game Boy Color. It was released in Japan on March 21, 2001, in North America on June 11, 2001, in Australia and Europe on June 22, 2001, and in the People's Republic of China on June 8, 2004. Game Park 32. The GP32 is a handheld game console developed by the Korean company Game Park. It was released on November 23, 2001, in South Korea only. The overall design is not unlike the original version of the Game Boy Advance. The GP32 is based on a 133 MHz ARM CPU and 8 MB of RAM. Unlike other handheld gaming systems, which tend to be proprietary cartridge-based, the GP32 uses smart media cards for storing programs and data, making it accessible for amateur developers as no further development hardware is required. Nintendo D.S. The Nintendo DS, or simply, DS, is a 32-bit dual-screen handheld game console developed and released by Nintendo. The device went on sale in North America on November 21, 2004. The DS, short for Developer's System or Dual Screen, introduced distinctive new features to handheld gaming: 2 LCD screens working in tandem, a built-in microphone, and support for wireless connectivity. Both screens are encompassed within a clamshell design similar to the Game Boy Advance SP. The Nintendo DS also features the ability for multiple DS consoles to directly interact with each other over Wi-Fi within a short range without the need to connect to an existing wireless network. Alternatively, they could interact online using the now closed Nintendo Wi-Fi connection service. Its main competitor was Sony's PlayStation Portable as part of the 7th generation era. Sony PSP. The PlayStation Portable is a handheld game console developed by Sony. Development of the console was unveiled on May 11, 2004, at a Sony press conference before E3 2004. Shipments of the PlayStation Portable ended throughout 2014 worldwide, having sold 80 million units in its 10-year lifetime. Nintendo 3DS.
This is probably the most amusing theme on the handheld wheel.
The Nintendo 3DS, abbreviated to 3DS, is a portable game console produced by Nintendo. It is capable of displaying stereoscopic 3D effects without the use of 3D glasses or additional accessories. The handheld offers new features such as the Street Pass and Spot Pass tag modes, powered by Nintendo Network, augmented reality, using its 3D cameras, and Virtual Console, which allows owners to download and play games originally released on older video game systems. BlissBox.
This is just to reset the old school controllers if I ever want to use any
Press
of those.
keys 1 through 4 to reset each player's controller.
That's it, guys. That's
Nintendo
the
Game Boy.
handheld nested wheel. I'll have later videos that dive deeper into each one of those wheels themselves. Got 120 different wheels to show off, so expect more to come. And
choose from a list of all systems supported regardless of category.
Where I
Game
thought
on.
this is absolutely awesome, and I hope you did too.